All right, as they say, we're live. Cool. Thanks for those for watching. Hey, my name's Sean. It's Punch Travel, and yeah, I'm going to talk about my experience recently in Morocco. I had the pleasure of going to Tangier, Chefchaouen, Fez, and Casablanca. I spent the 8 days out there. On average, about 2 days in each city. 3 days in Tangier, 3 days in Fez, a day in Chef Chouan, uh, but two nights in Casablanca. So yeah, it was a whole lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was my first time in Morocco. It was my first time in Africa. And yeah, folks, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know if you could hear. Press a one if the audio sounded okay, and let me know. Keep me posted. Yeah, so it was a really good time out in Morocco. I flew into Morocco from New York. My first stop was in Madrid. So from New York to Madrid, and then Madrid to Tangier. And it was really nice to fly from Spain into Africa. I looked out the plane, and the water was blue, and it was something. And it was sometimes I've been to Spain before. I've been to Paris, been to different parts in Europe, and I would hear people say, "Oh, look out for Moroccan folks," kind of like a put down. So it was interesting to be in the Madrid airport, and just about everybody, most of the people going onto the plane were looked Moroccan, and I was the minority. It was just me. There was another black dude there, but everyone else, just about everyone else, was either a Moroccan or a European. So it was about a 1 hour plane, 2 hour plane flight from Madrid to Tangier, and I was a little bit nervous. Would I recognize any of the words? Would I be able to read the signs, see the language? I was happy when I got to the airport that there was Arabic. I don't speak Arabic, uh, but there were some words in Spanish, and I do speak a little Spanish. I was able to see letters that I recognized, and so it was nice. I got from so the airport was cool. I was warned that the line to for immigration might be hours, so I was preparing myself for a long um, experience in the airport, but got through fairly quickly. Exchanged some money at the airport, even though airports are not you're not going to get the best exchange rates. But what I heard with Morocco, you can't get the money outside of the country. The local currency is dirham, and it's about 10 euros or 10 US dollars to one dirham. So I exchanged some money, and outside the airport, like many airports, there's a row of taxis, and I was going to look for. I usually try to not take the taxis in front of an airport because it could be cheaper getting an Uber or going a little bit away from the airport. I didn't want to pay that tourist tax on the taxis, but there's no Uber in Morocco. There is a Karam. I think that's the name of it. Karam. There's an app. It gives prices, but there was local taxis, and they had listed prices. And I was staying in a Medina, and so a Medina is kind of like an older community. Have a lot of shops, smaller streets. Cars can't get in. So I took a taxi from the airport to the Medina, to the old Medina in Tangier, and it was about a 20-minute ride. It was 150 dirham, I believe. I believe so. That's $15 US. 20-minute ride, not bad. And I gave the taxi driver tip. So it came to 170 dirham, $17. And so the tricky part starts. The driver dropped me off in front, like there's an entrance to the Medina. And so I had to navigate my way in, find where I was staying. So I stayed in something called, the place was called Riyadh Sultana. Riyadh is like a family home, a family hotel, so to speak, family run. And as I learned later, uh, Riyadh is supposed to be a really big space with water and pools. And this place did have a water fountain, but it might be more accurately described as a dar. A dar is more of a smaller sized hotel. Still very nice. Still very nice. So yeah, I got the local experience. And I learned from watching many YouTube videos, people will try to guide you to where you're going. Now, there's a reputation. Some people might misguide you and charge you a fee. Some people might take you around in circles and charge you a fee, or people might take you straight there and charge you a fee. But I wasn't really into paying somebody to to go into to find my quarters. So I used Google Map, and I walked around a bit. It was a little bit confusing, but I eventually got there to Riyadh Sultana. Place was cool, people were nice, and I got to take a walk around. I got to try some food. I went to there's a really nice restaurant that I went to. Had a couple restaurants on my list. One was restaurant My Mooney. Yeah, that had my first taste of tagine there. I had a seafood tagine. It was really cool. So the vibe out in Tangier, it's very close to Spain. And at one point, I was, it was interesting to stand in Africa and to look over the water and to see Europe. That was cool. That was interesting. So yeah, the vibe in Tangier, it's a real international type of city. Um, a lot of people, Arabic, Darija, that's the Moroccan form of Arabic. Hope I'm saying it correctly. Forgive me if I make a mistake. But yeah, they speak Arabic. In northern Spain, in Tangier, they speak a lot of Spanish. Other parts of Spain, more south, like Casablanca and Fez, uh, even though that's not other parts of Morocco, they speak a little bit more French. But in Casablanca, it was Arabic, Spanish, English. A good number of good number of vendors spoke English. I got to some places I visited was Cap Spartal. That's it's like a lighthouse by the water, and it's on the back of their currency. So that was a cool spot. Another place I got to visit was a Hercules Cave. It was nice going in there, and I got to experience some of the taxi drivers. They're pretty cool. They're pretty smart. The taxi driver that I had, I just wanted to go to Hercules Cave. Got in. The taxi driver made a made a nice, smooth suggestion. Said, "Okay, well, you could just go to the cave." He was willing to drive me to the cave. He said, "Or how about going to Cap Spartel and then going to the cave?" And some drivers there are willing to stay with you for the day, and it's better than picking up multiple taxis. And he was cool. He was cool. Showed a lot of different places in Tangier. Yeah, so it was nice. I had fun. The food was good. People were very friendly. I felt safe mostly. Felt safe. Had no issues. Stayed there for 2 nights. 2 nights. As I was leaving, one of the vendors, he said, "Hey, see you're going. Have a good rest of your trip. So you never know who's watching. People are watching." And yeah, it was fun. It was cool. It was nice. If folks have questions, shoot it in the chat. And yeah, so then I took a bus to Chefchaouen. It was about let's see, about a 3 hour bus ride. I'm thinking a 4 hour bus ride. It was supposed to be about I think 3 hour bus ride, but part of the way there, the bus broke down, and so that was a bit of a bummer. And Chefchaouen, it's known as the Blue City. Most of the buildings are painted blue, and there's different thoughts onto why it's painted blue. Some say it could be it used to be a Jewish neighborhood, and Jewish people see blue as representing the sky and heaven. Some people say it's to keep mosquitoes away when it gets real hot. But yeah, it was a cool city. So went there. It was in the Rift Mountain, and it was a long, scenic, very, very scenic, beautiful ride. And I kept wondering, whoa, this bus going to keep going up the mountain, up the mountain, up the mountain. It was going pretty high, and yeah, it was interesting. It was cool. When the bus broke down, that was a bit of a bummer because the plan was just to be there for one night to catch the sunset. Now the town it reminded me of how Hosina in Rio de Janeiro looks. I never spent much time in Hosina, and but it looks like that. It's a village, very nice looking village on a mountain, and it's all blue. So the plan was to see this beautiful sunset on a place called the Spanish Mosque. So the Spanish Mosque is on a large hill overlooking Chefchaouen. And because this bus was late, it was cutting into the time to see the mosque, see the town. But I got there, was a little bit hungry, went to Clock Cafe, had chicken tagine. It was tasty. I looked online to see, okay, what are some good restaurants. And so Tangier is pretty hilly, and also Chefchaouen is very hilly. And looking on Google Maps, Google Maps is fairly accurate saying where to turn right, where to turn left, how far to walk. What Google Maps does not say is when you have to go turn right and go up steps or turn left and go down steps. It doesn't account for steps. And Chefchaouen has lots of steps, lots of hills, lots of climbing. Eventually, I found the Clock Cafe. Really cool people, really nice view. So now, because I was hungry, being delayed traveling from Tangier, so now it's time to get to the Spanish Mosque, get up to the Spanish Mosque, and to see the city before the sun set. Because once the sun set, I was only going to be there for a day, so no sense getting there after the sunset. And I asked the worker there, what's the quickest way to get up the mountain to see the mosque? And he said to go down to the town and get a taxi up there. So kind of rushed down to the town. And so this was, let's see, my third day in Morocco. And oddly enough, well, I'll back up a little bit. When I was in Tangier, I saw there were some vendors. They were very funny, very very funny. One vendor, he said, "Hey, Barack Obama," and he made me laugh. And other vendors would say, "Hey, Kay, come into my store and make me happy. I wanted to put them on camera, but I didn't want to buy something from their store. I didn't need anything from their store, but so I didn't want to put them on camera and not buy something. But they were very funny. But anyway, so I felt real comfortable in Morocco, and as I was rushing down to like the sort of like the main street in Chefchaouen, I heard somebody say, "Oh, black man," and and a few seconds later, "Oh, black man like woman." So that was like the first, and it was the encounters that I, only instances I had where I felt a little bit uncomfortable, like being singled out as a black man. So by these two individuals in Chefchaouen, and that's when it dawned on me, like, whoa, I'm one of the few black people in this whole town. It's a town with a lot of tourists, and it can be considered, it's a pretty quiet town, quiet neighborhood, quiet area. Very friendly. The next day, so I get down to the town, rushing. The sun is slowly setting, and I look for a taxi. Taxi comes over. We agree on a price. That's another tip to do in Morocco. Agree on the price before you get into a taxi, before they take off. Oh, and that reminds me, before I even get to that. So leaving from Tangier, I took the CTM bus from Tangier to Chefchaouen. I get out the bus station, Chefchaouen. There was a bit of I see, I go to some people to get a taxi, and I think it was a miscommunication due to a language barrier, because they kept saying 50, like 50. I kept thinking we were using this app to calculate the prices, a conversion rate, and they kept saying 50, as though it was like 50 euro for a 17-minute bus ride. And I'm like, no, a 12-minute bus ride. It was a like 17-minute walk. I was like, no, that's crazy. I was like, no, I'm not paying that. I was willing to pay 40, but they kept insisting. I was like, no, that's just too much. I'm not paying that. So I held my own. I was like, no, I'm not paying 50 euro. And I walked away from these people, these bus drivers at the bus station. Like, oh, I ain't paying that. And I walked around the corner, saw a smaller taxi. There are different size taxis. The smaller one in that town was blue, larger one was white. The larger white one is not it can't pass through the smaller streets where the hotel or the dar I was staying in was. So I get to the other group, and they said 35 dirham. And so 35 dirham is, we agreed on like 50 dirham. That's a whole lot different than 50 euro. So I think what it was a miscommunication between the first group and the second group. The second group spoke a little bit of English. So they said, 50 dirham. And the first group, when I was hearing 50, using this conversion app, they were we were both I was under the impression they meant 50 euro. So I think as I was going with the second group, the first taxi driver was like, "Hey, where you going?" Oh, he's like, "Oh man, they're charging you the same thing I'm charging you. What's up with that?" But so that's why I kind of gathered it was the same price. Well, anyway, getting back to in the main street, going up to the mountain, taxi driver is going pretty fast, and I'm happy with that. Really praying to get there before the sunset. And he goes up a hill, part way, like halfway up the mountain. Says, okay, all right, take these steps and go up. you'll see the mosque on top of the mountain. Just follow these steps. It was maybe like 20 steps. And there were some young guys, teenagers, offering to be guides, paid guides. I'm like, no. And they would say, oh, just turn this way, turn that way. Okay, give us 20 dirham or give us 100 dirham. I'm like, nah, forget it. Anyway, little did I know, it was like a 20-minute climb up the mountain from that side. And I'm just like, oh, sweating and going over rocks and really trying to look at the sun, really hoping I get there before the sunset. And thankfully, I got up to the Spanish mosque before the sunset. I was able to sit down, relax, take pictures, take videos of the sun setting over Chefchaouen, and to see it go from day to night and the lights come on at night. That was a really nice scene. I was really happy I was able to do that. I was trying to do a time lapse on my camera on so I have on this app that I had, and I thought I could do it, but I couldn't figure it out. So I just let the video run on the camera, on my cell phone. Let the video run. I'll do the time lapse later in editing. So yeah, that was. And the next day, took some pictures in Chefchaouen, walked around a bit. Some places they set up a scene for you to take pictures. They designed a layout. They have baskets and benches. Really nice, very affordable prices too. It was like 5 dirham for pictures, so that's like 50 cents. It was U.S. It was really affordable. Really cool people too. Really cool people. And yeah, so the next day I was on my way to Fez, and that was about a 4 hour bus ride. So I took the CTM bus from Chefchaouen to Fez, and this was quite an experience taking that bus. There was sitting on the bus towards the front. There's a lady on this side to the right, older woman. God bless her. She was throwing up most of the ride. And there's another older woman in back of me to my left. She's throwing up most of the ride. Like they were getting motion sickness. And I moved to the back of the bus for some of the ride. Because the bus ride, they take different stops. They go to different towns and pick people up. So yeah, it was brutal. They were suffering, throwing up. I was like, oh, I don't want to hear that. So yeah, so I get to land in Fez. Bus, there's a taxi driver. He's like, hey, where you going? He take me in. So Fez, I stayed in the Medina, a place called real cool place. It's called Riyadh Borj Dihab, and that's also, as I later found out, it's more like a dar, but it labeled Riyadh Borj Dihab. Really cool place. So Casablanca, most of the buildings are white. It's known as a white city. And Chefchaouen, most of the buildings are blue, so it's a blue city. And I get to Fez. Fez looks different. It looks kind of like sandstone buildings, and the place looks very much enclosed type of very plain looking buildings. Get there during the day, and a taxi driver, he drives to kind of, and there's a gate. These are gates. I stayed in the Medina, and the Medina in Fez is, I think, like 900 years old, or I think it started in the year 900. I think um, there was a ruler named Idris who created the town of Fez, and at one point, Fez was the capital of Morocco. So it's one of the oldest still existing neighborhoods, communities in the world. So it's hundreds of years old. And when I get there, so the taxi driver drives to the front and he asks somebody who's a guide, can the guide take me inside to the dar? And the first impression that I had was the place smelled a little musty, and everything just looked like sandstone and plain. And some streets were dark. It was things were just covered. So, but I was told like this is the cultural capital of Morocco. This is where the craftspeople are. So with that guide, I spoke to the guide. Said, "Hey, I don't speak much English, but my brother gives tours. My brother can give you a tour of the Medina." And I said, "Yeah." Was brother was willing. Brother spoke perfect English. Was offering $30 for I think like a 3 hour, 3 or 4 half day tour. I said, "Yeah." And the brother said, "Hey, when you go into your where you're staying, they're gonna try to get somebody else to give you a tour guide. Let them know you already have one." So I'll go finally go into the place where I'm staying, Riyadh Borj Dihab. It looks like very plain on the outside, and once I go in, it just looks beautiful and gorgeous, and all of this fine architecture and deep and Islamic details, arches, beautiful stuff. And I've come to realize it really dawned on me how that's just how their culture is in Fez and different parts of Morocco. By intentionally, it's very plain and unassuming on the outside, and inside these homes are beautiful, 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 beautiful. I'm in the slow process of editing my photos and videos. I will be posting videos of Tangier, Chefchaouen, Fez, and Casablanca. I did post a live that I did as my last day in Tangier. So you could look through my channel, see that live. Yeah. So I get there, and the host, very, very good person. Cool people, very cool people. Beautiful, beautiful place. And they recommended I have dinner at this other place. Uh, one of the workers there, his name's Hamza. I can't remember the exact name of the place right now. It had a beautiful view, beautiful view. And speaking with the guy, and speaking with one of the workers there, Hamza. It's a family-owned place. Beautiful, beau- tasty food. It was just like plates and plates and plates of food. I was stuffed. And he asked, "Do I have a guide?" And I said, "Yeah." The taxi driver. He asked, "How did I get the guide?" I said, "Well, taxi driver talked to somebody on the outside. That person led me inside, and I spoke to his brother." He said, "Well, does the brother live in Fez? Live in the Medina?" I said, "Well, I don't really know. I don't know." And the guy was he was it's better, it's safer to get a guide who actually lives in the Medina. He said I could arrange to get a guide for you who is registered with the city. And being an outsider, I said, "All right, well, I'll go with it." And it was about $5 cheaper anyway. So I said, "All right, let me get a guide who is registered with the city." And that night I called the original person. I said, "Sorry, but I'm not going to go on that guide with you." He already knew. He was like, "Hey, they got you, huh? There, I told you they were going to try to talk to you and talk you out of it." But so I told him, "Yeah, sorry, not going to go." The next day, met up with a guide from what was it, Sahara Day Travel, um, and he a young guy about my age, man about my age, and I was taking a whole bunch of pictures and videos, and he realized I'm going to take a minute, so I got passed on to his teacher, a guy named Abby, and very cool, very knowledgeable person, very wound up not just a half day trip, but not just a half day tour through the Medina, but 2 full day tour through the Medina, and wonderful experience. I got to visit the famous tannery, bought some leather stuff there, got to see how the leather was dyed, and learned about haggling. Haggling is a intense but playful sport in Morocco. Yeah, it's it's interesting. It's no joke. So yeah, I got to learn about haggling and got to meet a lot of famous craftspeople, people that are UNESCO recognized. They took pictures with the king in Morocco, and yeah, real cool people. I got to see like live chickens and little chicks, little baby chicks. Uh, Once again, the tannery. Some people that make fabrics, and went to a carpet store. People rolling out the carpet and seeing how Moroccan carpets were made, and I was tempted to buy, but prices were a little too expensive for me. Little too much. And also went to a fragrance store. Really good stuff. Bought some stuff for the family. Bought some kind of like mental crystals, and I actually used some of them the other day. Got that for my brother. Got some fragrances for my mom and nephew. Yeah, really cool stuff. Yeah, I was able to get some nice stuff for the family, and got a bracelet for my father. I got him a bracelet from Tangier and in Fez, and learned, negotiated. And it's interesting to, they give a price and I give a lower price and another price, and kind of meet in the middle. Yeah, it could be intense. It could be intense. Like, oh no, I can't afford to pay that. Can't afford to pay that. Yeah, it was really cool people, really cool food. Also I went to the library, also known as the university. Uh, Korea. I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it's like a it's the world's oldest still active university. But I went to their there's a library close by. Went in there, a madrasa. Yeah, beautiful arches, detailing. Yeah, I got to see a lot. And there's no way I could have navigated the Medina on my own. It was just too complex. I went to a Jewish cemetery, went to the Jewish neighborhood. I went there on a Friday, and on a Friday, uh, businesses are closed in the Medina and in the Mullah, the Jewish neighborhood. Got to go by the palace gates. Went to the Blue Gate. Also went to a place where they make ceramics, and got some ceramics. Did some haggling there. I'm smiling because yeah, I'm used to what the store says. Okay, that's the price. Take it or leave it. But no, they may give a price and a little bit too high, and to have a meeting point to say, okay, I'm willing to pay this and not that. Learning experience, really cool stuff. So, all right, so by this time, uh, and also eating good food, I had, so when I was in Tangier, I got to ride on a camel. I rode on a camel on the beach, and that was real cool. I looked at a TV program that night in Tangier. It happened to be cable station from Dubai, and it was like a camel beauty contest. And so that I saw that. So in Fez, I had told the people at this restaurant I wanted to try camel, and they had it that night. They had it the next night, but I was eating dinner at a different restaurant. So then the following night, I decided to go back to that first restaurant where Hamza works, and I had camel, and it was tasty. What camel tastes like, they it looked kind of like meatballs, but it was seasoned, but it wasn't very flavorful. I didn't find it flavorful. So I ate it. It was cool. But for the first time ever, I felt guilty about what I was eating. I was so sad eating it. I kept thinking about the camel that I was riding in Tangier, even though it's a different part of the country. But I felt guilty for the first time ever eating something. So yeah, but it was cool. Very tasty food. It was like meats and potatoes with raisin, uh, some vegetables. It was all sorts of breads, lots of breads, lots and lots and lots of breads. And yeah, so then the last part of the trip was going from Fez to Casablanca. And I decided I had enough of the buses. First bus ride, the bus broke down. Second bus ride, uh, old women throwing up on the bus. I said, all right, I'm going to take this train, the train from Fez to Casablanca. It was a high speed train, and it was cool train, cool train. I got the ticket from, I believe it was booking.com. I got the ticket, and it was ticket might have been 25 euro, might have been less. So I got the ticket, first class ticket, and so I get to the train station, and I'm I'm about to trying to board the train, and security checking like, okay, well, okay, we see you paid for the ticket, but the ticket wasn't. They were looking for a QR code, and it seems like booking.com, there's an extra step. One, you buy the ticket, money goes through. Then they say, okay, you got to wait 24 hours for them to validate it. Well, you got to go back on the website and register. Then they'll send you the ticket. So I didn't know that. So I'm standing there trying to get Wi-Fi in this train station. Finally get the Wi-Fi. Go back to the website, validate it. They send me the ticket. Finally get to go on the train before train's working on the schedule, so I get there in time. And it's first class, and it's going to different parts of town, different parts on the coast, mostly on the coast. And I see one of the cities it passes by is Rabat, and then Rabat is the capital of Morocco. So it goes there. Finally get to Casablanca. It's about a 4 hour ride. It was cool and smooth ride. And I get there, and I had heard lots of YouTubers say, "Oh, there's nothing to do in Casablanca. Casablanca's boring. Nothing to do." One reason I wanted There was two reasons I wanted to go to Casablanca. Two big reasons, one small reason. The small reason was I wanted to go to. Hold on a second. All right. Yeah, excuse me. One small reason was I wanted to go to Rick's Cafe based on the movie Casablanca. That was one small reason. One big reason was I wanted to visit the Hassan II Mosque. Second largest mosque in Africa. And another big reason was it's easier for me to fly back to New York from Casablanca. So those two big reasons, flying back and visiting the mosque, and the small reason, visiting Rick's Cafe. And I saw something you could do scuba diving in a mall. in the Morocco Mall in Casablanca. So I wanted that as well. So take the bus, take the train to. I get out at the train station, and I immediately I immediately liked Casablanca. It kind of felt like New York City. I went from one extreme to the next. I went from a very conservative, culturally historical Fez and traditional Fez to like a real modern, hip, fast Casablanca, and it felt so good. And um, this was the city where I instantly saw lots of attractive women, lots and lots and lots of attractive women. It's like, okay, all right, this is a cool part of town. And I stayed in a hotel. Let's see, it was JM Suites, JM Suite, real cool hotel, really nice hotel, and yeah, modern, all the modern amenities, and yeah, real cool spot. Got to go, then rested. The next day, went to the mosque, and yeah, it was, yeah, immaculate, humongous. It was very intricate. I was able to join a English tour. The tour lasted about an hour, and I listened to the tour, took lots of pictures inside and outside. So that was cool. Uh, got out there and went to a little beach, just like a 5 minute walk from the mosque, and was on the coast. Oh, I forgot to mention when I was in Tangier, there's a signpost in Tangier where on the right side that's the Mediterranean Sea, and on the left side is the Atlantic Ocean. So one could see where the two bodies of water meet. So I was able to see that in Tangier. So yeah, so in Morocco, a little bit of in Casablanca, a little bit of time on the beach. Then I went for a taxi to go to the mall, and the first taxi driver was like 100 dirham. I'm like, nah. I went on the app Kiram, and I was able to see they give you a price, and it was, I think, like, might have been like 40 dirham to go to the mall. It might have been that like 30. It was not that expensive. 100. I was like, no. And I know, okay, I'm a tourist. I'm willing to pay a little bit more, the tourist tax. I'm willing to, but it's a certain level that I'm willing to pay. Oh, another thing, the cabbie from the train station in Casablanca to the hotel, we had agreed upon a price. I think it was. I think he initially said 70 dirham. I said no, 20. It was like it was. I think it was 20. It was something like that. And he was like, "Yeah, he agrees," because it was like a 15-minute walk from. But since I didn't know the place, we had to take a taxi. It wasn't far, so I land at the hotel. Then he tried to jump back up to 70 dirham. I'm like, no, no, we agreed upon that. So that's the only thing with Morocco in certain parts. Some taxi drivers are real cool, and they'll take you around at a very reasonable price. Others try to jack up the prices. So yeah, the first taxi driver was 100 dirham. I'm like, nah, chill. You just drove off. The next one came, said 50. And I was like, yeah, all right, cool. And he was willing to stay. He was, hold on a moment. Yeah, he was willing to stay, and he said, all right, go to the mall for 2 hours, and he was willing to drive some more. I stayed in the mall, had some food there. It turned out they didn't have scuba diving in this aquarium in the mall. You could go down an elevator into it, but I didn't do that. And also another benefit, I wanted to see the Twin Center. That's like their twin towers in Morocco, skyscrapers. I wanted to see for myself, touch for myself, take pictures myself of skyscrapers in Africa because that's not shown very much. And I saw it, touched it, posed in front of it. So, Twin Center skyscrapers in Casablanca, and walked to my hotel. Had some pastries, some delicious pastries, delicious, delicious, delicious. And I was able to go to Rick's Cafe the first night there, and it was based on the movie Casablanca, designed like it is in the movie. There was a piano player. There was a woman singing, and they were playing the classics, playing cool music. The food there was delicious. I had some lamb, and some other stuff, pastries, full course meal. Let's see, for one person, it's like $45. Drink, bread, meal, pastries. For two, it's $90. So that was the most expensive meal that I had in Morocco. Just to give you a price breakdown, meals were usually, for a person, like $15, and you eat till you're full. Full. So yeah, prices are good. I found prices like in Tangier seem to be the cheapest meal wise with the most. And the people in Morocco extraordinarily hospitable, and they're going to do everything that you don't leave. And in a good way, they treat you very nice, very friendly, offer you free stuff with the food, treats and snacks, and so it's like, why leave? Why get up? To just stay here. They're very nice, very kind people, very hospitable. Abby, the tour guide, even said, "Hey, would I could stay with him in his home?" But yeah, I was just moving around too much. I think the place is called View. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of his family restaurant, but yeah, really cool people. Yeah, had a and spent some time walking out at night in Casablanca, seeing their night scene, and there was actually some vendors on the street. They were selling, they're like cooked snails, and it's my first time seeing that. I wanted to try like one snail in Paris, but I didn't. So there were snails, some vendors selling it on the street, and I didn't like the smell. So I was very happy to walk away from that smell. But yeah, it was. I felt safe walking around at night, fairly safe. I felt safe. Um, yeah, but yeah, Casablanca, it really was was hip, sophisticated. The people in the restaurants, very attractive people, nicely dressed, dresses, jackets, dress shirts, shoes, dress shoes. Yeah, it was real cool. So overall, really wonderful experience. Things. So suggestions for people: if a person's going to visit Chefchaouen, I'd recommend visiting Chefchaouen at least 3 full days in Chefchaouen because there's just a lot to see, a lot of beautiful stuff to see. If you're visiting Fez, definitely check out Abbey. I think it's Safari Tours, Fez Safari Tours. Definitely get them. Yeah, they're and have a day tour. Is those streets are just an outsider really can't navigate it. I felt like Indiana Jones seeing all of these different streets. Yeah, it's impossible to navigate. as a stranger, but it's so beautiful to be there in such a culturally rich city. Tangier, I would say Tangier is good for 3 4 days. Good 3 4 day trip. There's the Hercules Cave. You can get through it real quick. Cap Spartel, you can get through it real quick. So yeah, the Medina, it's nice to explore. I wanted to go to the Casbah Museum, but I was there on a Monday and a Tuesday, and it was closed those days, so I couldn't see it those days. Casablanca, definitely. If you want a sophisticated time in Morocco, I would definitely, I would go to Casablanca again. Maybe 3 nights. Casablanca is a good place to go to for the weekend. Definitely for the weekend. Say Thursday, Friday, Saturday. If you were to spend a Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Morocco, those are that's an ideal place because there's a nightlife, and other places there's a nightlife that a New Yorker is used to. Other places is just more conservative, and that's a good thing. It's conservative. Yeah, so Morocco, Fez, like 4 days in Fez, I'd say at the most. Some good things with Fez. I didn't go on day trips to like Meknes and Volubilis. Hope I'm pronouncing it right. Those are culturally historic spots. Though you could take day trips to there. So if you had 4 days in Fez, 2 days exploring um, the Medina, and one thing that was really interesting with Morocco and Fez is the relationship between Morocco and Spain. So Spain was conquered by um, Muslims for 700 years. So in Spain there is a Moroccan influence, say especially in southern Spain, in the Andalusia area, and so part of Spain is called the Andalusia Autonomous Community, and in there consists of Malaga, city of Malaga, Sevilla, Cordoba, and Granada, and some other cities. So Andalusia is part of Spain. They got the Moroccan, they got the Arabic influence in Spain. And conversely, in parts of Morocco, there is the Spanish influence on Morocco. So parts of the Medina in Fez is called Andalusia. And like in Chefchaouen, there's the Spanish mosque. And so there is this really interesting relationship between Spain and Morocco and how their histories uh, coincide and combine, and the present is like that. French is a big influence also on Morocco. Pretty much more. It seems like it's more so in Casablanca. So yeah, if I travel, I would like to visit Morocco again. Next time, I would like to visit Essaouari, I think. I think that's how it's pronounced. It's a beach town in Marrakesh. So yeah, yeah. So hope this was insightful, entertaining. Hope you learned something, enjoyed it. Feel free to watch my other videos, like and subscribe. And yeah, peace out. Get your passports.